Welcome to our viewers in the Americas and around the world. I'm Doug Ferber from Tieline, the codec company, and you've accessed the video podcast version of our streamlined newsletter. I'm joined by Jacob Daniluck, Tieline's U.S. codec expert, and today's guests are Bill Eisenhamer and JR with Entercom San Diego. This is the engineering crew for the Entercom San Diego radio stations. Welcome, guys, and thanks for doing this with us today.
Certainly. Thanks for having us.
So I'm gonna dish it over to Jacob to get things started, and I'll kind of interject every now and then, and let's see what we can come up with.
Yeah, thanks, Doug, for that intro. As Doug has kind of mentioned, we're just going to run through a couple of quick questions that myself and Doug are both interested in, plus some of our viewers might be interested in too. To start things off, just so that way because like myself and Doug, we know who you guys are, but could you guys just tell us briefly a little bit about the engineering San Diego crew and the engineering team out there, and who Bill is and who JR is? Tell us a little bit about you guys.
Also, you guys have some interesting challenges in San Diego with the border. We'd love to hear about that too.
Well, it's always fun. There's something different every day. I'm the head of the technical department in San Diego. Bill is the chief engineer for KSON, KXSN. Let's see, what else do we? KWFN. And then we have Mike Prasser, who takes care of KYXY and kind of does overlaying duties with Bill on transmitter maintenance and transmitter care. We all work together in the office here and take different shifts during the COVID thing to make sure everything is operating correctly. So it's really a team effort. We don't really have any stars, and we don't elevate anybody beyond anything else. We all work together and just get it done.
That response brings up an interesting point about the COVID outbreak and what you guys are doing up there. I guess as the government started to enforce shelter-in-place requirements and all of that, and how California was one of the very first states in the United States to issue this stay-at-home order, how were you guys prepared for all of this, or were you guys even prepared for this type of pandemic?
That's a good one. We knew that it was kind of sort of coming in the news. And I remember the day that JR was like, we got to figure out how we're going to deal with this as we move people out of the building. It kind of grew from there, because I think Entercom did a pretty good job of warning us to be prepared, but it was the rush job of getting what we needed and building machines where we need it. Because basically what we've done so far is gone to remote voice tracking for key air channels.
Okay.
So the prep, I would say a lot of the prep was through JR. Just knowing what's going on and then delegating to us what we needed to get done.
Are you still mostly voice tracked?
The morning shows are all live. We actually have producers in building just to run board and mix in phone calls and that. The rest of the shows are voice tracked. We have the wide orbit system at Entercom, and they do make a remote voice tracking piece, and we've been using that, and it's worked out okay. There were a lot of things in between the home remote system and the mothership, as we call it, that can add some interesting touches here and there. But for the most part, it worked out fairly well. We spent 2 to 3 days, Bill, Mike, and I, sitting at a desk building computers. Fortunately, we had them in storage across the street, and we spent several days building them, testing them, and then I drove them out and installed them at houses and tested, and we went from there.
Well, and I guess that kind of brings up a great point to go to this next question here real quick, is about announcers and home studio setups. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about what's the best type of solution for home announcers and on-air talent working from home. And of course, we can tell people what we think it is, but from an actual engineering perspective, JR or Bill, whoever wants to answer this, what kind of equipment and transmission lines are you guys using out at the home studios, per se, out of everybody's home site? What are you guys using out there?
This will probably horrify a number of engineers out there, but basically the microphones are these little Yetis.
Okay.
And they're Bluetooth mics that plug into the
USB.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, not Bluetooth, but USB, you're correct. They plug into the PC. The audio sounds fine. I know there are others that would argue that you need processing and yada, 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 but I think the top compliment I received a couple of weeks ago was from another engineer in the market who asked me if we were still in the building. And I said, no, everybody's gone. He goes, everybody? And I said, everybody, including the talent? And I said, yeah, the talent's gone too. Because it doesn't sound like it. How are you doing that? And I said, simple. It's just a PC and a USB microphone.
The biggest thing is to, realize that you're not going to be in a studio. So you have to accept the environment you can't control. So when it comes to a home studio, you got the avid, I have to have everything perfect, blah, blah, blah. And you have to accept, no, it's not going to be perfect. So going out and finding, a Blue Yeti microphone. Blue makes decent mics. So you find something decent. And the big challenge, I think, for a couple of them, how hard to drive them. And it was kind of a early on hit and miss. But once they learned how to use them, you're good. And then we do have a couple of air talents that have their own home studio, so they were able to incorporate that into their studios.
What kind of remote control are you using, if any?
Remote control in terms of?
Can you control any audio from the main studio? Can you control any of the remote equipment that's out there? Or
for voice tracking, it's all self-contained. There's no remote control in terms of that. But for live shows like the morning shows where the talent are out there, we do have, we got two talents using the Reported app right now. So I have the cloud codec controller for that.
Okay.
And then we had to deploy the one of the old iMix G3s. For luckily, here's a convenience factor: a morning show where they're married, so not multiple locations, but a single location.
right.
So that case on they're separate. They're two talent are separate in their own places using the app, and then for this one morning show, we have them on the iMix G3 for a little mixer. Again, can't really control that with the cloud codec controller, but I can control everything that comes into the station on the Merlin Pluses. Likewise, the fan talk show, they've set up in a granny flat. So they meet there, and they're using a field unit, I believe is what we deployed there.
Right.
I did not want to deploy our two VIAs yet because there's always that situation where we need something better somewhere else, or say we have an STL failure that's catastrophic and we have a way to get around it.
That leads me to another question. Let's say that we get through this pandemic in 6 months or 12 months. Do you see, two questions, do you see remote broadcasting still sticking around, still being used? You do or don't?
I do. And one of the projects I've been working on, I'm still working for approval on a VPN access, is I'm about, believe it or not, I'd say, what do you think, 85% ready to do a full no one in the studio, as in remote console control and phone control.
EAS.
everything done remotely where we wouldn't need somebody in a room.
Okay.
That
So
has developed because of this pandemic. So we're almost there.
yeah, so that means, does that mean you would outfit your talent with kind of not just PCs that were kind of cobbled together, but maybe kind of like what some of your talent already has, which is a full in-home studio? Do you see that happening?
It's possible. Where I'm seeing it is there's certain air talent where if there's a personnel shortage and they need to do a live broadcast somewhere, we can actually have it set up where they can control their own wide orbit machine, take phone calls, and control their console.
One of the things that this allows us to do with so many of the people being furloughed or laid off for the duration of the COVID virus is it alleviates that personnel for the time being and allows us still to function. We can take that equipment or access to the equipment and give it to the particular talent and say, here, you can run your own board. Here, you can run your own EAS test and you can turn your mic on and off, which is what the board op has been doing. But if that person's not available at that time, we still are able to do it. We don't skip a beat.
Okay.
So do you see the future of a radio station office being a reception area and a prize closet?
And then maybe a rack room here or there?
Yeah.
It could be.
You know, one of the things about our business, and I think people forget about it, is that we are still a people-driven industry. And part of what endears us to the audience is the interaction. I think we need to have bodies here that people can come in and see, whether they be sponsors, whether they be listeners, but they need to see the showbiz aspect of what we do. And I think it's also coherent to have a staff that works together under a single roof. It just adds more to the vibe. And that vibe is good right now, but it's missing a little something, something. And I think, you know, people need to come together back under a single roof again.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing like the electricity at a radio station.
No.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but we do also want to leave a few minutes where you guys can kind of share any additional thoughts or any advice that you guys have run into or any challenges that you have run into that you want to share with any of our listeners or viewers out there. Do you guys have anything you would like to add directly into this conversation?
I would take a moment and take what our operations guy from the programming side, Kevin Callahan, is telling all the air staffs. He said, you know, we're not broadcasting right now, we're camping. Treat this as a camping adventure. So yes, you're going to get birds, you're going to get the neighbor mowing his lawn, you're going to get the dog barking at the mailman or the UPS man when he comes to the door. He goes, incorporate that into your show. Don't try to hide it, don't try to ignore it, make it a part of it. You know, that's what the world is really like. And part of the experience is that we're sharing what the audience is going through. We're at home too. We're doing the same thing they are. We're just communicating to 13, 14, 50, 100,000 people at the same time. The only difference. And it makes us more human and more active, to what the community is doing. And I think it endears us a little bit further. So that's an important part. We need to be part of the audience live, and that allows us to do it a lot better.
What's the most unique thing that you've heard that somebody in your chair has done to accommodate remote broadcasting?
I think we've all pretty much taken the same design and ran with it. I mean, you grab everything that's in your parts closet, you grab everything that's in storage, you grab everything that's in your, Pelican cases, and you put it to use. You learn to adjust things. I mean, we've learned more issues and little adjustments, even in the Tieline app that we weren't aware of. We thought we were pretty good on it. And, with a little instruction, it got even better. So I wouldn't say we've done anything or anybody's done anything extremely extraordinary, but it's a good point to sit and learn more. You know, never close your mind off. Learn more about what you're doing. Learn more about how you can do it. Learn more how you can roll things out and be more efficient at it.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I don't have anything additional that I would like to add on to this interview. Doug, do you have any additional questions you would like to ask?
The only thing I'd like to say, guys, is thank you.
Yes.
I'm the new guy here. I know you've been good to us, and I hope that I can kind of add to what Jacob and Dawn and Brian and the guys in Australia have done to make you customers. So thank you for your support, past and present, and hopefully in the future as well.
Yes.
We appreciate your help and support for our comments, questions, and issues.
Hey, not a problem. Our door's always
Bill,
open.
you can break anything we have. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, Bill and JR from Entercom, for joining us on this week's edition of our video podcast, Streamline. I'm Jacob Daniluck, joined with my colleague Doug Ferber. If you'd like more information about Tieline or this video podcast, you can follow us on any social media outlet. Thank you, and this has been another stream.